Hello, everybody. This is me again, Tim Lamont. Just settled into the office on this beautiful Saturday. So, who would like to hear another passage from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations? Let's find where we're at. So, we're on Book 1, Debts and Lessons, and we've done Rusticus, number 7, just now. So, 8 is Apollonius. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I know in a few of these I have not pronounced names correctly, but we don't have to be perfect. Can't let perfection be the enemy of good. So, let's get down to it. So, here we go. Independence and unvarying reliability, and to pay attention to nothing, no matter how fleetingly, except the logos. And to be the same in all circumstances, intense pain, the loss of a child, chronic illness, and to see clearly, from his example, that a man can show both strength and flexibility. His patience in teaching, and to have seen someone who clearly viewed his expertise and ability as a teacher as the humblest of virtues, and to have learned how to accept favors from friends without losing your self-respect or appearing ungrateful. End quote. So, let's see where my mind goes with this. So again, what these are Marcus Aurelius's, what he's indebted to and what lessons he's learned from these people. In this case, it's Apollonius. And these won't always be this. This is just this first book, Debts and Lessons. So, independence and unvarying reliability, and to pay attention to nothing, no matter how fleetingly, except the logos, or the logic. So what he's trying to get at here is to essentially value logic and rationality above all other things that might influence a decision. So there's what are the three arguments? Ethos, pathos, and or ethos, pathos, and logos. So pathos, oh my goodness. Logos is logic. Pathos, ethos, ethics. I believe ethos is ethics, and pathos is emotion. Those are the three fundamental arguments and ways to view a decision. It's something that's often seen a lot in the court system, in rhetoric and making arguments. Are you going to appeal to emotion? Are you going to appeal to social contracts or to logic? So this is very much so in line with Stoicism, appealing and or like holding logic up to the highest pedestal. It's not saying to discount the other ones in their entirety, but to value and weigh logic and rationality as the utmost aspect of a decision to make, or of a way to level. If you're going to think about doing a behavior or action. That's what this person, Apollonius, taught Marcus Aurelius, or what he really learned from him. My thoughts on that, I agree with that. I think logic is I don't want to say this too bluntly, or logic is, and rationality is and can be a very, very effective way to make decisions. But it's not to say to discount emotion. I believe there's a logic inherent in recognizing emotion and understanding it in oneself and why certain emotions come up and might be driving a decision. Often there is a logic there to be discovered behind a powerful emotion that might be driving a decision, or social contracts. There's often a certain logic built into them. And so with this, I largely agree. I don't think it should be unvaryingly or unvarying. I certainly think you should not discount logic and rationality when making a decision at all. But it doesn't necessarily have to be unwaveringly. Certainly I've made decisions out of emotion, but I think what he's really trying to say here is that maybe you run into less troubles if you use logic above in the moment emotions. So the next sentence. And to be the same in all circumstances, intense pain, the loss of a child, chronic illness. And so what he's saying here is to continue that statement that he first said, to use logic above all else, no matter what. And again, some of these things are quite hard to deal with. Intense chronic pain, long-term illness, the death of a child, which arguably is one of the worst sets of emotions and circumstances a human can find themselves in. And what he's saying here, though, it's not to discount the emotion or invalidate it. It's that if something like just terrible like this should happen to you, not living your life and getting so caught up in the sadness and sorrow and guilt and dread and anger, and getting so caught up in it that you then fail to continue to live your life, or strive to the goals that you want to achieve in life, it wouldn't really be the best plan. And I'm certainly, everything I say in this channel, open to debate, open to disagreements. I don't think that my opinion on these things is necessarily even the correct one. It's just my opinion. And it's a lot easier for me to sit here and say, yeah, like if your child died and passed away, yeah, like being logical about it as you continue on your path in life. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm cold or brash or anything like this as I say this, because this is one of the things about REBT that it often gets a bad rap, as being cold and inconsiderate of emotion. Because my God, if someone's going through something like this, chronic illness, and they've been in pain for 5 years, spending all their time going to and from a hospital once or twice or 3 times a week, yeah, it's a lot easier for me to sit here and say, yeah, well, you should think logically about that, not emotionally, because I'm not personally dealing with that right now. But I think as we continue reading on these lessons and meditations from Marcus Aurelius, none of it is necessarily absolutist, and it's more so that, yes, these types of events would certainly have a very high likelihood of triggering profound emotional turmoil, lasting weeks, months, years. A person might never actually even fully recover from it, especially things like the death of a child, or if they went through an illness and they got better. There might always be terrible anxiety over, am I going to get sick again? Is my partner or my child going to get the same sickness that I had? But it's not to focus on those emotions above the logic of it, and to continue living life, continue seeking out things that give you meaning, to feel the emotions fully, but not let them dictate your life, and to rather use rationality and logic as the guiding star in your life. And emotions and society will certainly have their ebb and flows and their own, I guess, gravitational pulls that are sometimes impossible to, I don't really want to use the word fight here, but to go against those currents. But coming back to rationality and just trying to come back to rationality can be a very helpful way to move forward in life and continue striving towards goals. Now the next sentence here, and to see clearly from his example that a man can show both strength and flexibility, And now, in this sense, I believe that he means by man, he means like a human being, not necessarily just men or anything like that. I think that is certainly sounds to me like a great thing. Like, if someone was just strong all the time and strong-willed, my way or the highway type of thing, not admitting to failure or of a better way of doing something, it wouldn't really be a logical way to live a life. And I think sometimes, if someone's obviously too flexible and they don't stand their ground, in terms of like whether it's their opinion or their beliefs or their values, that would often lead to somebody who's kind of always bending over backwards for other people at the extreme. Whereas to be too strong-willed and I guess you could say like bullheaded or too confident, I think is what he means in this sentence. That's also kind of a recipe for who's really going to want to get along with that person. If that person goes down a path and they're not considerate of other ways of doing that same task or what have you, well, then you're also opening yourself up to the fact that things change and there are other people come up with better ways of doing other things and other perspectives, and not being flexible and able to adapt is also setting yourself up for a more likelihood of failure. Next sentence is that his patience in teaching. Certainly teaching people something, or I guess communicating whether it's a concept or a subject or a set of instructions. Certainly patience in teaching, a lot of other aspects of human life as well. Patience is quite the virtue, and I think is more beneficial than not. So that's nice that Marcus Aurelius recognizes that patience, especially in regard to teaching, is important. And so this can come into relationships, to teaching your partner about yourself and your preferences, teaching a friend about yourself and your preferences, and expectations especially, both spoken and unspoken, and maybe why are some expectations unspoken and why not, and to be patient with people if perhaps you yourself had an unspoken expectation and they didn't know and they crossed a line, to be then patient as you explain your rationale, why maybe you're peeved off or really salty. And ideally, hopefully, you're not getting so salty because you're patient with them, and recognizing that everybody's fallible, including ourselves. And to have seen someone who clearly viewed his expertise and ability as a teacher as the humblest of virtues. So it sounds like, this person was it sounds like he was one of the main or primary teachers of Marcus Aurelius. So a humble of virtue, to be able to teach and show his expertise. I don't know what Apollonius taught him, what subject, or if they even necessarily had subjects as we recognize them today back then. So it sounds like, I think just in this sense though, just being humble, not being, it doesn't sound like this Apollonius thought he was the absolute best teacher in the world, and that it was his way or the highway. It sounds like Apollonius took pride in being a teacher and having the opportunity to teach others, and perhaps he was a great teacher because he didn't think he was always right or knew exactly what to do, but he was willing to learn and to go to places with people that maybe other people weren't, or to take in opinions that other people weren't and kind of amalgamate them in his own way and be able to reciprocate that onto his pupils. And then lastly, and to have learned how to accept favors from friends without losing your self-respect or appearing ungrateful. So certainly, what he's saying here, this one is a bit self-explanatory, but if a friend or loved one or someone offers you a gift or a kind gesture, not assuming that it's out of pity or that a handout or what have you, and at the same time not appearing ungrateful that that person, well, of course my friend should have offered me a hand in this situation. They're my friend after all. They almost an expectation, and I think that this is a fine line. A lot of the things in this book is a fine line between feeling that it is a handout and then not feeling grateful about it at the same time. It's two sides of the same coin. I don't even know if they're really two sides of the same coin, or rather, two very likely ways a person might begin thinking about a thought or action from a friend or loved one. And so, putting it down the middle, not being grateful for a kind gesture, but not thinking that you deserve it necessarily, and not thinking that you're such a poor sap that if it weren't for this handout you'd be screwed, or that there's no way you could have got it otherwise, and that you're a failure for not obtaining it on your own. These are thoughts that very likely can come up. I think there's a lot of spaces I can go there. I want to say an example, but I really want to keep these things short, and I'll leave that up to you. When was a time when a friend or family member or somebody offered to help you and you struggled with either thinking that I must be a bit of a loser or no good, I shouldn't perhaps need this person's help, I should be able to do it on my own, but for some reason I'm unable to right now. So now this person that I love is being either obligated, out of love, or inconvenienced because of me and my fallacy. And then on the flip side, a time when, and maybe it was the same time, where you thought to yourself, well, that person, they ought to do that anyway. They're my friend. They should give me that drive. They should, let me grab that out of their fridge without saying thank you. Let me stay over, and I'm their friend after all. There's a lot of examples I can think of that this can come into play, but let me know what yours are down in the comments. All right, have a great rest of your Saturday and rest of your weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.